Resigned PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde left the organization in the hands of PNP Deputy Chief for Administration, Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa. We now go above and beyond the headlines with General Gamboa himself. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Newsnight.
Good evening, Pia. Good evening to the watchers of this program.
General Gamboa, yesterday morning when Secretary Anyo called you, when your phone rang and you saw the Secretary's name on it, did you already know what was coming?
It's not morning, it's evening.
Yesterday, last night.
There's a great difference.
Okay.
You know, the morning, evening controversy. Yes, probably there was a sentiment on the part of the Philippine National Police as an organization that it was really a very good option for what General Albayalde did. And probably the reason why he called me, because I'm number 2, and necessarily if the number 1 cannot function anymore, the number 2 takes over. Just like any other organization that the number 2 becomes the officer-in-charge.
But at that point, hindi nyo pa alam. Basta nakita nyo lang yung pangalan ni ni Secretary Anyo. Hindi pa pumasok sa isip nyo na
Yeah.
mangyayaring ganito.
Probably I already had some
An inkling.
inkling on it because seldom does the secretary call me, being the number 3 before of the PNP.
Number 3 before, because before this you were DCO or Deputy
Yes.
Chief for Operations, and just recently naging Deputy Chief for Administration.
That was last Saturday.
Just last Saturday, because of the retirement of General Jojo Mendez just
Yes,
last Wednesday. So syempre, and that is why nagkakaroon talaga ng movement sa PNP hierarchy. But sir, we'll go back to that in just a bit. In the meantime, sir, I wanted to ask you, so Secretary Anyo yesterday told you that General Albayalde submitted a letter of intent to go on leave and relinquish his post.
Yes.
He said that to you. Do you know, did he tell you exactly how this happened?
Not really the details, but he provided information that after, I think, the cabinet meeting last, I think that's Thursday, he had a talk with the president and they have discussed this matter. And probably from there, that's where it all started.
Yeah. So when Secretary Anyo says he and the president discussed it, did he say that the president wanted General Albayalde to resign? Or to go on leave?
It was not really discussed, but the exact words of General Anyo was, or Secretary Anyo was, General Albayalde would go on leave. He would go on leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
But of course, for him to go on leave, that would have to happen. That can only have been, or the impetus for that would have to come from the appointing authority, who was the president. I mean, there's no one else who could tell General Albayalde to go on leave, hindi po ba?
Yeah, but if you have heard his message during the flag raising ceremony, it is almost understood that after his talk with the secretary, he pondered and finally decided not even to go on leave, but on a non-duty status.
Yes, non-duty status, which you already explained, is something that many officers avail of kapag malapit na silang
Yes,
mag-retire.
yes.
Oo. Pero ganito po kasi, earlier today, Senator Bongo had said that the President and Secretary Anyo met late last week. They agreed that they wanted General Albayalde to go on a terminal leave, and that when Secretary Anyo and Albayalde talked, nag-express na rin ng intent to resign si General Albayalde. Pero nanggaling din talaga kay Presidente.
Well,
In other words, because, I mean, if you're going to resign, appointing authority naman sa kanya si Presidente, para bang kay Presidente na siya talaga magre-resign?
not really privy and
Okay.
on the conversation that has taken place before this incident.
Mayor Magalong, or former General Magalong, had said that this was the right decision to protect the organization. A while ago, when you started speaking, you talked about how the PNP felt this was a good option. Protect against what, sir? What were the dangers if General Albayalde had decided to stay longer? Because dapat October 29, thereabouts yung change of command ceremony, tapos November 8 ang date of retirement niya. Kasi October 13 pa lang ngayon, 13 to 29, halos 2 linggo pa yan. Ano bang dangers that, that could have laid ahead kung tumagal pa siya sa pwesto?
Well, as expressed by our spokesman and General Albayalde himself, there are two reasons. First is personal on him. And you really can see how he deteriorated from the looks of it. And organizational. To spare the organization from further being affected by the issues at hand. So these are the dangers probably that General Albayalde had thought of.
Okay.
So personal on him and then for the organization.
The dangers also, what state was the PNP in, all this time na nagkaka-Senate hearing at humarap ang Chief PNP doon? What was the state of the PNP? Ano yung state ng moral? Was it high moral, low moral, what?
Yeah, parang just like a father of a good family. Na siyempre pag embattled yung father mo, you know how the children feel. So it's like that also, but differently stated, the PNP cannot be affected by that so much because we have a role to do in the society, which should not be affected by any controversy that haunts the PNP.
A role to do and a mandate to perform. So
Yes.
tuloy pa rin ang trabaho syempre, like you were saying this morning in your press briefing in Camp Crame. But at the same time, I just wanted to ask, ito nga, yung moral ng PNP, can you describe, what was it, sir? High moral, low moral, what?
Well, just like any other audience of the Senate inquiry, there are really mixed reaction because ordinarily one would say, who's telling the truth? No? And each of the different parties are pointing their hands to the other. So just like that, the members of the Philippine National Police are also human beings and they would act accordingly to how they perceive things personally. But as an organization, I said, we cannot afford to sacrifice our morale and probably discontinue to work because there's so much at stake for the PNP to do with the society.
On November 8th, when General Albayalde retires, is he going to get his retirement pay? I asked that question because there is talk in the Senate about recommendations for charges. Not very clear though yet, no? How will that affect yung retirement ng isang opisyal?
Okay, when you retire, you have two options. First is to get a lump sum, which is actually the first 3 years pension that you have, or what we call the outright pension. Meaning to say, the next month that you retire, or the next day that you retire, you get your regular pension. Now, there's a bit of requirement when
Sir, by the way, yung pension is yung basic pay.
Yeah, basic pay.
So parang in a way, parang hindi kayo nag-retire. Or konting...
In a way, yes.
In a way,
because
okay.
you only receive, after serving 36 years at least, you get 90% of your last basic pay.
Okay.
Okay. One rank higher, 90% of that. Now, when you opt to get the lump sum for the next 3 years, it's allowed by law. When you want to get that, there are certain clearances that are required. One of which is you should not have a case filed against you.
Okay.
Now,
Filed, sir?
Filed against you. But there are two kinds of cases. There's administrative and criminal. Now, on the part of administrative, once you retire, the Philippine National Police loses jurisdiction over you. So it cannot be a reason anymore to hold the benefits that you get. However, if it's criminal, there are requirements that after 3 months, if the case has not prospered in court, then you can get your benefits. Now,
After 3 months from your retirement.
from your
date.
retirement,
Okay.
yes. Now, there are two kinds of benefits that we get usually when you retire. These are the commutation of accrued leave and the pension. The commutation of accrued leave, nobody can hold that in favor of the retiree. Why? Because he has already earned this.
it.
So, yung CAL talagang hindi yun pwedeng galawin. No? So, sa kanya talaga yan. So, ang question ngayon dito is doon sa kanyang pension. So, yun yun yung consequences if he gets a lump sum and then if he has an outright pension.
And if charges prosper in court against him, or if there are charges filed,
Yes.
criminal charges
Yes,
filed,
yes.
then mahuhold ang pension,
Yes.
even if it is within the 3 months after retirement
Yes,
date, which is
yes.
November 8.
Yes.
Because, again, like I was saying, there is that possibility, pinag-uusapan nga ng mga senators. So in other words, on November 8, pag-retire ni Sir Odi, he will get the
Commutation of accrued
commutation
leave.
of accrued leave or CAL. Pero the November 8 is like 3 weeks away. So question mark pa yung pension.
Ganito kasi the reason why there are requirements when you go lump sum, because when you go lump sum for the next 3 years, you won't get compensation. And sometimes in criminal cases, the final decision would entail like damages. So they have to claim something from the respondent or from the accused. Now, if nalamsam na niya, wala nang pwedeng takbuhan yung claim, civil claims or damages.
Well, how will this matter in the, let's say the Senate comes out this week with their final report, and then there are recommendations for charges, and then November 8 ang
Well, pagdating ng November 8, if there are no cases filed, then he can get his benefit.
no cases filed, meaning it has to be sa prosecutor.
Yeah.
Hindi recommendation
No, I
ng
think
Senate.
it's with the courts. With the courts.
The courts talaga. Okay. All right. And I want after this, the next question kasi also is upon retirement, hindi po ba you are given honors? There is a parade. Your flag is retired. Your badge, sir, like what you're wearing on your left chest, is returned to the PNP. You're given your ATM card, which contains nga yung inyong pension and the accrued leave. Will that happen when November 8 comes around?
At his
Again.
option. At his option.
At his option.
And there are no restrictions or prohibitions provided for by regulation of the PNP. So if he says he wants to be honored, then it
There
can be
will
given
be
to him.
retirement honors.
Yes, there will be retirement honors.
Okay. We're going to speak now first to Senator Richie Gordon, who's on the line. Senator Gordon? Senator Gordon?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Sir, can you tell us what is going to happen this week? You talked about earlier today the possibility of releasing the report and what it's going to contain in terms, related to General Albayalde.
Well, we will have to make a determination as to what accountability he will be subjected to, whether he committed malfeasance, misfeasance, or non-feasance. That is the charter of the Blue Ribbon Committee. No? And I think there has been enough evidence to show that there was a lot of circumstantial connection, and at the same time that will lead to a decision, but also testimonial evidence from generals and certainly from his actions, we can deduce that that which we will release on Wednesday or Thursday.
Senator Gordon, can you specify, because, for example, General Lacadin, when he testified last week and he talked about that phone call that General Albayalde allegedly made to him, where General Albayalde, according to General Lacadin, allegedly told him, konti lang naman ang napunta sa akin. Is that enough for you to determine any
No, we do
guilt?
not determine cases on that basis.
Okay.
We take the whole evidence that we have accumulated, lahat ng mga inilapitan niya si Aquino, yung kay Lacadin, yung hindi siya gumalaw, he did not do anything when he was suspended. I call it a suspension, because he was taken out, but apparently he never appealed, he never bothered to take a look at his men, and only years later, when he was already a star rank, that he started asking questions, which is really inappropriate. So there are many, many things that we can put together. The conduct of the raid did not follow the law. They have to take pictures. They have to report. They have to report it right away. At the same time, you have to have the PDEA, And again, even his people didn't know whose house it belonged to. And then there are testimonies that say the guy that they got was not the original person that they turned over, but they had replaced the suspect. Now we have gone through a lot of experiences in this country. This is the first time I see that, talagang hayagan, harap-harapan, papalitan yung suspect, no? So there really is a lot to explain on the part of General Albayalde because he was the commanding officer of that team that conducted the raid, and he was basing it only on one report, which claimed that they had information on the 23rd of November that there were drugs there and that they were going to have a buy-bust. Even that situation, it can really be, if you really did your homework, why would you send somebody to a drug lord who don't even know who the house is? You give it, the 100,000 cannot be explained. And when they get there, all of a sudden, papayag yung drug lord right there in his house, sabay bentahan ka. He would probably send you to the coroner or to somebody else because that would be very, very patent, no? So that didn't happen, and yet we have testimony that the guy jumped out of the window when they started fleecing him, and he came out half naked, and he was picked up by some barangay officials who turned him over to the CAFGU, and he was the guy who was brought to Baloyo, and Baloyo switched the suspects.
Senator Gordon,
a lot of really very, very patent things that cannot explain very well.
Senator Gordon, had General Albayalde not resigned today or gone on non-duty status, and the Senate hearings had gone on longer, would there have been more that would have come out about him?
First, it doesn't mean that just because he has resigned that he will not, or he has retired, even on November 8th, that there will be no cases filed or that the Blue Ribbon investigation will cease. No? We can continue. In fact, the parliamentary situation is that it is suspended and can be revived anytime because we're still waiting for additional evidence. No? But with the evidence that has presented itself so far, there's a cogent collection that we can conclude that certain events that we can conclude on what accountabilities we will have to accept from the personalities.
But when you talk about additional evidence, sir, this is evidence about General Albayalde?
No. Right now we're looking, hopefully, that we've asked the Korean embassy, for example, if they can get that Johnson Go. Or we have, and also, we also are looking for the incidents of the crime or the such as cars that have been taken away, no? So marami pang hahanapin.
Yeah. Senator Gordon, my last question.
There's another policeman that has not shown himself to the hearing. Huh?
Senator Gordon, my last question is, should this have come sooner, or are you happy with the timing of this? Or should General Albayalde have just waited until November 8th to finally step down as Chief PNP?
Are you talking about the resignation or the investigation?
Resignation, sir.
The resignation was all up to him. All right? I said consider resignation and then tell him to resign. One, because there was continuous evidence coming in, and we are already affecting the integrity of the whole PNP. Even the military, even the PNP graduates, the PMA graduates are already very concerned about that. And I can show you many, many incident notes, texts that we have received. But insofar as could this have been avoided? Yes. If the PNP immediately investigated Albayalde at that time, investigated the whole 9 yards of how the raid was conducted, and they came out with the conclusion, we would not have this severe embarrassment, considerable embarrassment.
All right. Senator Richard Gordon, sir, thank you very much for joining us this evening. General Gamboa, when Senator then General Bato turned over to General Albayalde and all the previous turnovers of command, palagi pong merong seremonyas of a change of command or a formal turnover of command ceremony. But this morning's turnover of command, and we have the pictures with you and General Albayalde and Secretary Anyo, lacked all of that pomp and circumstance. And explain to to our viewers lang why it is that way. That is because of the very unusual circumstances. Ganun po ba?
No, probably, really, it's extraordinary. It's not, but if you can remember, when General Purisima was relieved also, or I think he went on leave, and General
Espina was
assumed
OIC.
OIC, there were no formal ceremonies also. Now, probably the secretary just wanted it so that he can thank General Albayalde of the things that he did, and probably give a few guidance to the incoming officer in charge, so that everything would be in place. And of course, the two generals who are in front of the secretary can assure each other stand on the faith that they have gone through, like General Albayalde, who went on an NDS, and probably the officer in charge to take care of the PNP. So, alam mo kaya it's not really part of that turnover. We only have turnovers pag yun nga, just like what you saw during General Bato's time. Actually, we recalled there were a few instances that the chief PNP went on leave or was relieved, and then an OIC was designated. And there were no ceremonies like that. So ito lang naman, in-ensure lang ni Secretary that the two would be in front of me. And yun nga, pasalamatan ko si General Albayalde and told him na at no second did I really doubt about your integrity, and thank you for the services you have rendered to the
Sinabi ni
PNP.
Secretary Anyo yan
Yes,
sa kanya.
so
Okay.
it's personal knowledge because I was there.
Yes.
Of course,
And there are pictures to prove it.
Archie, you're taking care of the Philippine National Police. Ensure that the programs that have been done by ODI will be continued by you. And of course, there's a mandate on the part of the PNP. But of course, it's very clear that the President is still on the process of choosing who the next chief PNP.
So we'll get back to that in a bit. But should this have happened sooner? Yes or no? Yung resignation?
Well, it is really
Yeah.
upon him.
Depends
We
on him.
really
Okay.
cannot
Yeah.
predict it even because it was very personal to General Albayalde.
Although it was, there's some observation what a sad way to end an otherwise illustrious career. And it was also, in a way, a sad day for the PNP. Would you agree, sir?
Yes, of course, because our chief PNP is our chief PNP. No matter what, he once had headed this almost 200,000 strong organization. And he did well. He did well. Only because of, probably these events that transpired for the past weeks. Kaya medyo ganun ang...
He did well. No? He had quite a career. And then you have this one incident.
And probably that's why he was appointed as chief PNP, because of what he did as regional director of National Capital Region.
Sir, you and General Albayalde are not just fellow officers. You're also mistas or classmates at the Philippine Military Academy, the Sinagtala class of 1986, the ruling class nga daw. What was the sentiment of the class? What did your mistas want General Albayalde to do? Are you at liberty to tell us that?
There were a few discussions, but there wasn't really a unanimous consensus on the actions that the class should take. Ano kasi, Pia, we are occupying very sensitive positions in the armed forces and the PNP. We are not anymore ordinary. So you say that we are part of the ruling class, the head of the Philippine Navy, the head of the Philippine Air
except
Force.
for CS,
yes,
no?
except for the CS, no? So probably there's more to class action than being mature people.
Yeah. In other words, if you were younger officers, may captain, lieutenant, pwede pang
pwede pa tayong mag-ano.
But what was the sentiment? Especially yung mga mista nyo na PNP.
Well, we have a Viber group. Everybody showing their support to ODI in the Viber group, but some were also silent.
Okay. And I suppose it's safe to say you all wanted some closure to this. I mean, you didn't want this to drag on and on, right?
But honestly, in our Viber group, there was no such discussion. Probably because...
Not in the Viber group.
Yeah, no, probably we all respected the decision of General Albayalde.
Okay. I wanted to ask you if you were in his place, how would you have done things? But I'm thinking, judging from the way, what kind of an officer you are, you probably might think that is an unfair question. So we're going to skip that. But
Thank you.
as PNP OIC, sir, you are limited to what? Because maglalabas nga ng reso yung NAPOLCOM, no? National Police Commission. Limited to what? And then 3-star ka pa rin until and unless you become Chief PNP, no?
Well, that I cannot really answer yet, no? Because the National Police Commission, I even told them that, I cannot sign anything, I cannot decide on anything unless you give me that authority. Because under any other organization or any other branch of government, once you're designated as officer in charge, you're just a caretaker. Otherwise, if you're given some authority to exercise a few things, this must be defined specifically by the person or by that body which is over you. For this case, it's the National Police Commission headed by the chairman, who is incidentally the Secretary of the Interior and Local Government.
Sir, but you are not just a caretaker. You are among the top contenders for the post of the Chief of the Philippine National Police. Nakakapanghinayang ba na, in a way, para bang anticlimactic na OIC kayo ngayon at hindi yung, parang hindi lang maganda masyado yung pag-take over nyo or pag-upo?
Actually, Pia, pinag-usapan namin yan on the past Chief PNP. Ano yung naging ceremony? Yun nga, merong iba, walang turnover. General Bato just assumed office. He didn't have anybody to relinquish the command from. So, I would like to segregate my being a candidate and my being an OIC now. Candidate could, of course, we leave it to the President. He can decide. But for the meantime, I have to do my role as officer in charge. Now, kung ang ceremony, later on, whatever it would be, then siguro part yun, no? Hindi naman ako masyado sentimiento na parang nakakapanghinayang, pero ganun ang nangyari.
Ganun nangyari.
So,
ganito tayo, ito nangyari.
So, hindi talaga pwedeng maging, malungkot ka kasi ganyan. Things must go on.
Yeah. You just need to set it aside, focus na lang dito sa trabaho sa OIC.
And that's the guidelines of the President through the Secretary of the Interior.
Okay. And what any professional would do, sir. Sir, as a possible Chief PNP, ano po ba yung period required to assume the post before? Hindi po ba para bang a certain number of months or a year before your retirement date? Your retirement date at the age of 56 is September 2, 2020. So, meron po bang ganun? Kasi October 13 ngayon.
Under the direct provision of the law, it says that the Chief PNP must at least have 6 months to occupy the position.
Okay.
But previous interpretations has it that if you have 3 months, there's a specific case for that. No? 3 months na nang naiwan sa'yo, but you have to complete for another 3 months to complete the 6 months tenure. So you get extended, which is also allowed by law. Maximum of 1 year extension. So, ako, granting, if I will assume Chief PNP, there's no problem in terms of period of which I'll become Chief PNP. Okay. And as well as the other candidates.
When we say the other candidates, we're talking about
General Cascolan and
General Yazar, who's class 87. He retires a year after you.
November 2021.
At November 2021.
Yes.
Okay. But there's also ang tinatawag daw na dark horse daw, si General Danao, class 91, who's close to the President. And then several other names had been mentioned. Of course, sir, this is a political appointment. The one the President chooses has to be someone he can trust. How close are you to the President? Do you think ikaw yung ikaw yung pipiliin or what?
Would it be the right time to answer that question?
It could be.
Probably. I'm from Davao, and siyempre my mother was born and grew up in Davao. I also graduated from Ateneo de Davao University in my secondary and took up my first 3 years in law school in Ateneo de Davao. So, hanggang dun lang muna.
Hanggang dun lang. Okay. So, at the moment, what we're looking at in the next 2.5 weeks siguro, so trabaho lang as OIC, Chief PNP, and then wait for whatever announcement will come out. Pero, let's say, ikaw yon or hindi yon, are you prepared, physically, emotionally, professionally, are you prepared for whatever will happen, whether it is you who is chosen as Chief PNP or someone else?
All of the above, Pia. All of the above. Alam mo, in my life, I have always planned of things that's going to happen in my life. And you know, you really have to be prepared, no? Kung ano, kasi life must go on, no? Life is too short to be bitter. So dapat, whatever would be the outcome, of course, dapat i-respect talaga natin kung anong decision ng presidente. No? And I'm prepared for that.
Do you think third time's a charm? I say third time's a charm because Bato, Class 86, Odi, Class 86, and then you or Picoy, Class 86. Sorry, Sir Bato, Sir Odi, Sir Archie, Sir, may possibility ba? Magro-ruling class pa rin ba ang Class 86?
It's not prohibited. It's not prohibited. So it's possible.
And if that happens, that will be history. It has never ever happened
Yes.
before in the history of the Philippine
yeah.
National Police. Okay. Do you think there are surprises in this, in the choice that the president will make? I mean, is he going to? Because, for example, General Albayalde, quite a number of people were surprised. Parang, siya pala, parang ganun, ano? May possibility ba? Is the president going to pull some trick off his sleeve or something?
Not a single idea about it. Hindi ko talaga alam. Pero ano lang naman, pag nag-decide si presidente, respetuhin lang natin, then that's it.
Okay. If you are going to be appointed Chief PNP, what are you going to focus on in the next 11 months?
Alam mo, the trust really of the Duterte administration, no? President Duterte, is illegal drugs. No? As a matter of fact, ito nga ngayon, no? Na nakita nyo naman kung ano yung naging consequences. No? So, primary pa rin yan. No? It's still drugs. And then internal cleansing. Probably, there are a lot of things to do. No? Kasi naging chairman nga ako ng Internal Cleansing Oversight Committee. We usually review the policies. And really, there's a need to get down to the roots of it. Kasi parang ano mahirap sabihin kasi masyado siyang malawak. No? But
Well, can you specify at least one? When you say na we need to get down to the roots of it, what exactly can you change at that level para hindi na nga maulit yung ganito? Or, as you say, that the war on drugs is a centerpiece program of the Duterte administration. It has to be lock, stock, and barrel, pure and clean if it's going to be a success. So, ano yung kailangan gawin? What can be done?
alam mo we start from within. If it would hurt, then it should hurt. Kasi nasa sakripisyo yung buong organization. But to convince other people that we are serious, then we start from within.
And when you say that, you mean exactly what?
Abangan ang susunod na kabanata.
At abangan na rin natin, sir, yung announcement
Yes.
ni President Duterte. So, sir, final words po from you. I know there's a whole range of things you can talk about. No, I mean, it's been one long day. It's been a very long month, not just for yourself, but for the entire organization.
Yes, I'd like to address this to all the members of the Philippine National Police. I am the caretaker of the Philippine National Police, and we expect you to do your respective duties, and we expect that you cooperate with our different campaign plans in the Philippine National Police. And to the public, we urge that you support the PNP, because without you, the Philippine National Police cannot survive as an organization.
Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa, sir, thank you very much for being here, and we hope to have you back, especially when the announcement
Thank you, Pia.
finally comes through.
My pleasure.
Maraming salamat po, General Gamboa.